All right. And we are live one more time. Fantastic. Almost 4 o'clock German time. Well, and I guess that joke never gets old, right? And this German punctuality thing also doesn't really work either. So yeah, 10 minutes after 4, but nevertheless, we made it. Welcome back to another freshly squeezed episode of Peak A's on Air. I have not one, but two very smart women joining me today. I mean, the one you kind of, I guess, familiar with. No, I never managed. This way. This is just not working. Dominique, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. So enjoyed a long weekend due to International Women's Day in Berlin yesterday.
Yeah,
So
that made a lot of people very confused. Like, wait, what? You have a national
definitely,
holiday, or like you have a holiday in Berlin? What's going on there? So, like, I saw actually a bunch of emails coming in, which was quite funny.
definitely. Yeah, a lot of clients were completely confused. So I'm super happy that Berlin decided, like I think 2 years ago,
2 years,
to
yeah.
make something out of like a bank holiday out of International Women's Day. So enjoyed a long weekend, and yeah, since I did not or do not spend enough time in front of the screen during the week, I spend a lot of time in front of Netflix and computer games. So yeah,
Yeah,
quite
I
quite
see you,
well.
you're getting like this. You go into the pro gaming situation with Age of Empires, right? Or was it Age
Yes,
of Empires? Yes.
Age
Okay.
of Empires. Yes.
Right. Very nice. Very nice. Fantastic. And then we have also first time on the stream. Actually, very
Yeah.
happy to have you here, Sarah. Sarah's joining us from like Dominique's team, and we're gonna talk a bit, well, maybe a bit more than a bit, but yeah, we're gonna talk about B2B content marketing. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
So what did you bring for us today?
So today I brought a little bit of presentation and some input about what B2B content can bring you for your business. Basically, I will focus on lead campaigns. So, for example, white papers and webinars, and how you can manage to use these content pieces to generate leads, prospects, and exactly. Yeah. So
Understood. Tailored to B2B audiences, which I think also we see a lot of times in inquiries that we're getting is oftentimes very, very different from like the classic B2C angle, right? So I think we're going to also have a bit of a conversation around that and actually why that is. And I'm kind of curious to hear your thoughts on the key differentiators. I mean, that you see when you kind of run those campaigns. I guess that's a hugely interesting topic. But before we get into it, since I mean you have not been here, so what's the 30 seconds version of Sarah that we need to know? So who are you?
So as I said, like in 30 seconds, I can basically say like 150 words. So it's a lot of information I can give you about me. I'm in content marketing and online marketing since 6 years, and I've a long-term experience in B2B marketing, especially for tech companies, software companies. So this is, I think, what all this presentation content is based on. So it's my foundation for today. And yeah, I'm happy to be here. It's my first time speaking somewhere in front of people. About somewhat
that can only be good. That's the other challenge, right? I mean, for us, like the non-native kind of talks are really challenging. So appreciate you taking on the challenge. I think it's going to be good. We actually have a lot of. I'm quite excited. Like we see, especially in the last 4 or 5 weeks, like we see kind of no pressure there. Like the viewers count actually going up quite well, which is quite nice. So for those that actually are just dialing in or have dialed in, like as always, feel free to chat along. We should be live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn as well. So like, yeah, leave your comments. I'm happy to take also questions and pass them on to Sarah, so we can kind of either squeeze them in or kind of follow up afterwards. As always, kind of happy to share the slides afterwards. pa.ag/notes. You kind of know the drill by now. We usually have a recap there. We have the slides there and some like kind of follow up links and whatnot. So if you want to poke around, that's going to be going live sometime during the week. We also have the recaps from last week's episodes. We talked with Elise Smith on tech SEO monitoring. We talked with Julia about a whole lot of different changes that Google is doing on the paid search side, not only Google, but also Bing. We had Paul here, our very own Paul, I think 3 weeks ago, if I'm not wrong, where we talked about like a lot of the fundamental changes that come into iOS. So all that stuff is in the kind of the blog section, or like the kind of PKs on air section on the blog. I should probably phrase it. And so yeah, if you have any questions on that, if you need the slides in a higher resolution, just email us or kind of reach out to Dominique and I on Twitter. That also works, and we're happy to kind of forward that. So before we get started, I actually have two topics that I quickly want to discuss. The one is one topic that I never get tired of, and that's asking Dominique if she actually made any progress on her reading goals, and if not, then if there are any goals on 2021. Because the thing is, I know the answer, so we can maybe skip the answer if there's nothing that you can report in on. Yes, no, maybe.
Yeah, there's basically no update. I'm so sorry.
Fantastic. So let's move on. Sarah, what are your favorite picks? What have you been recently reading, or what are you reading actually? Or are you more like kind of an audiobook person?
Yes. Actually, right now I'm more a podcast person because it's the easiest way to go. Yeah. Because I think maybe it's the same for Dominique. We're reading the whole day, so it's easier to listen to things.
Got it.
For me, yeah. So.
So what's your favorite podcast right now?
It's different ones. Most of them are from Deutschlandfunk. I don't know if it's known. So basically Ab 21, so from 21, it's different topics they are talking about. It's, of course, sometimes Corona topics, but sometimes also intercultural stuff, things that happen in other countries. So just to get a little bit like travel.
Understood. Get a bit of the outside non-marketing kind of.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. All right, that works.
So how about you, Bastian?
Haha, there we go. You put me in the spotlight, right? Yeah, I figured. Well played. So actually, I'm not a book person, to be very honest. That's probably the first thing. I kind of entirely moved to Kindle actually years ago, and even though I understand like the kind of the people, some people say like, well, I want the kind of physical book in hand, which I think is a valid statement. Just what I noticed, and that would be my second question, then I answer yours, is that like since I think my travel kind of cut down by like 99.9% in the last 12 months in comparison to what it was before, where I used to read a lot on planes, specifically on takeoffs and landings, obviously. And I managed to get quite a bit of books done. Go figure. I'm not sure if that's a good or bad sign, if you kind of count the amount of flights that were needed for that. But I honestly, I kind of really slowed down on that, to be very fair. So I usually read fiction, which is like military and that kind of stuff, just because similar to you, Sarah, but maybe with a bit of a less like, I just need something to reset my brain. I think that's probably the best way to phrase it. And like, I don't want to kind of consume any of those. And I read some like, Don't Make Me Think from Steve Krug is probably a classic on like UX and whatnot. And there's probably like a bunch of others. But frankly, like similar to you guys, I read a lot during the day. Not necessarily books, but obviously like articles and whatnot. I just have zero desire to even kind of start reading on, and maybe I should, leadership and whatnot. So it's just like, it's just, I see what you mean. Like, I think it's just kind of a reset at some point. But I think the main issue is that obviously since all of our lives somewhat changed quite significantly, I think this is also a big chunk of like the routines that kind of changed with it, right? And so for me, it's just the lack of travel just changed that entirely, for example. So didn't realize in the beginning, but like the more you think about it, the more I kind of think becomes obvious. Yeah. So that was that. No books, no progress. I guess we just got busy. I think that's a fair excuse.
I decided to spend my weekends with Age of Empires. So
that's fair. So to be honest, like it's quite funny that's actually Age of Empires. I used to play Age of Empires years and years ago. But I wasn't aware that they kind of moved it to like a full online version. So I found that quite interesting, actually. So
yeah. I was also super surprised when I found out that kind of information, because I completely lost or I forgot about that kind of game, and then I just found it, and I tried to do that on my iMac. That was, of course, not that easy, but then it was like, okay, that feels a bit like being 15 or 16 again, and gives me like a clean, like the brain reset you just mentioned during the weekend. It's perfect. Yeah.
Nice. All right. So, Sarah, let's put up the presentation, and then we can just get started on B2B content marketing. So let me just quickly change this, and then we do this, and then we should have, that works. So good to go.
Great. So yeah, nice to talk today about B2B content marketing. I think a lot of industries or B2B companies actually don't know that content marketing could be a channel for them. So I think it's super important to do a little sensibilization for that, and maybe to give other people a chance to understand what this could mean. B2B content marketing means basically what content can do to like lead someone from the website visit to become a lead actually, and in the end, of course, a customer. So this is my little agenda today. I like really broke it together that we have a lot of time for discussions, which is, in my opinion, a little bit more interesting than just like talking about something. So I will give you a little intro about what is special about B2B content marketing. I will talk about lead generation, which was always my focus point in my previous experiences in work. So how could content marketing help you actually to generate leads? And in the end, I will talk about content distribution for B2B marketers, because this is also a little bit special compared to B2C marketing. And yes. So what is special about the B2B content marketing? What you need to keep in mind if you want to grow your B2B business, of course, like that there are like a lot of different formats and ways how you could communicate to your audience, and your potential clients, but it's important as well that you know how and what is like the special things about it when you're a B2B company. So I separated it in like 5 little, let's say, pillars, more or less, topical pillars. So it's about education, personas, the goals, the leads themselves, and also formats. Of course, you know it, for example, also from B2C content, but it's a little different. Maybe you will see after a while. So about education, B2B content marketing is based on educational content, because the potential clients are not searching for a new pen or maybe a new sweater. They are facing several problems in their work and they want to easy up their work. So how could you help them to easy their work? How could you teach them to be better at work? How can you like support them with your services, your product, whatever you are offering as a B2B company? This is basically the main foundation of all this. This is, for example, studies and industry data, which is super important for the most of B2B companies. You could take this to a higher level, write articles about it, or white papers, ebooks. You can do webinars. You can also do like some educational videos on that, or academies. There's a lot of ways. I will come back to that a little bit later. Then also the personas are a little bit different, because you're in the end not talking to someone, as I said, who wants to buy a new jacket or sweater. You're actually talking to B2B buyers, which often are decision makers of companies. As a buyer, so the buyers are also more rational. They need more personal relationships to really decide in the end to buy your product or service. So let's say the journey of a B2B buyer basically is a little bit longer than it is normally for a B2C buyer. So you have to convince, you have to be the expert, you have to build trust a lot. You have to also like put your company as a name in the brain of your potential clients and also your services. And also what is different is the consumers or the buyers you have in B2B marketing often are super long-term customers. So it's mostly about, for example, in agency context, it's contracts that are not just like for one time, it's sometimes 12 months. Also in other like software companies, you're like having contracts for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. So you really have to like build a really good and personal relation to your buyers and to your customers actually. The next thing is the goals. So trust, branding, expertise, everything like this helps. And help is what the goals in B2B content are. So you need to show actually how, like, there's the gap. There's my English gap. I know I will face it, but I didn't know it will start that early. So I start again. I'm sorry for that.
No worries. No worries.
So so B2B content marketing is serving a lot of different goals. So it means you have to build trust, that your potential clients will trust you as an expert. You also have to like increase awareness for your company, for your brand, for your service. So basically you also have to do brand marketing, which is not like super far away from content marketing. It goes more and more hand in hand. And yeah, of course, as all marketers, you have to increase rankings and traffic, but it's a little bit more difficult because you have not this like super general topics. You have like really niche topics. So you have to find out what are people exactly Googling and searching for, and what can you like, which keywords can you basically have to rank for. And another important pillar of B2B content marketing is basically the lead. The lead topic. I will talk about this a little bit more in a deep dive. So why do content initiatives help to generate leads? Content marketing initiatives is, in my understanding, something like downloadable assets or webinars that function basically like lead magnets. So you're offering high quality expert content to your potential clients, to your target group, and they are like, with this, you're like getting awareness of them, and they are like subscribing for your webinar. They are subscribing for your newsletter to get like your news white paper. And this is how this could basically work in a super easy way. And also there are like a lot of different formats, which exist basically in B2B content marketing. It has billions of innovative content formats. So the more creative you are, the better it is. What works quite well is everything that is with like real good information, and that shows information in like a super easy way, as infographics, white papers, and ebooks. Checklists are also like super important for B2B audience. Also videos, webinars, podcasts, and help content. Help content is something like explanation videos for your product and for your service, or like some webinars about how to really solve a like specific problem, and things like this. Yeah, so it's just like a little breakdown. So I could talk forever about this, I think, but yeah. What I've focused the most on, because I think, in my opinion, it's the point of B2B content marketing is lead generation. So how can content marketing help to generate leads and new customers? So let's say we build a content campaign, which could be, for example, a white paper, a webinar, an infographic. Of course, you have all the way of creation. You have to research. You have to find out what is the most important topic. What is your audience interested in, and what maybe is like something new in the market. What are the trends? What could be the topic about this campaign? And then you publish the campaign. But that's not everything. It's not just about the white paper and the webinar. When it's, for example, you publish a white paper on your webpage, maybe no one will find it. So you have to do something with it to make people aware of it, to show your content basically to the world. And this is what I call content distribution, which is, I go a little bit more detailed into this topic, because the content distribution in B2B marketing for me means, of course, everything that you have like in your inbound strategy. So it means you can send, of course, the white paper to your clients, to your or to the newsletter subscribers you already have. You can give it like in-house to your customer success team, and they can use it for their clients when they help them with any problems. Sure. You also can post a blog post on that. You can distribute it on your like own social media channels, but there's way more, because you don't just want to like reach out to the audience and to the contacts you already have. You want to like contact new persons. You want to show your services and your content and their expertise to people that actually don't know you yet. So the distribution part externally is a super important part. This is actually, I will come back to this later. You have your own media I talked about, then you have also external media, and you also can have like this like paid part, which is of course something like Google ads, we all know these, or Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads for B2B companies are like super important. But as well, there's other like really interesting channels you can use for like bringing your content to your target groups, which is how do you call it in English? It's a kind of like this expert media. So you all are probably like getting or reading some magazines and web pages that are like talking exactly about topics that are super interesting for your industry, or maybe for the industry of your target group and for your like, potential clients. And these industries offer often possibilities to promote content, to like collect new leads, or to show expertise, or like write articles and stuff like this. So this is, for example, standalone newsletters, which you of course can send also in-house, but it doesn't bring you new prospects. But if you, for example, send a standalone newsletter in a medium or through a medium, which is like exactly in your industry and writing about topics about your that are interesting for your industry, you can like really reach out to new potential clients and people that are interested in that. And if you then tell them they can download your new white paper in change of their email address, you have them in your newsletter list and you can continue working with them, which would be the next step, lead nurturing. But also there are possibilities as newsletter banners, advertorials and sponsored posts, which would push your or increase your brand awareness way more and show expertise as well. So there's basically different goals you're following. As I said, getting new newsletter subscriptions and potential clients. Also, of course, claiming a topic first is super important for B2B, because you want to be innovative. You want to be the first one talking about a topic, because then you're like innovative and you're the expert, which leads me to the next point, which is like showing expertise. Of course, is also a goal which you're serving with this distribution strategy, and also, of course, brand awareness. If you manage to like get this leads from any of these content distribution actions, basically, you have a newsletter subscriber and you can continue working with them. So you are now able to talk to them in a direct way and to find out more information about these people. You can ask them questions directly. You can send them surveys. You know where they click. You know which newsletters they open. You know what they are interested in, and you also see if they are not interested anymore, because they then unsubscribe, which of course you don't want. So this is why you build a strategy that is like serving exactly the needs of your potential like audience, your potential clients. And in the end, if you're like doing a good job with all these like strategies, of course the people are purchasing something. They are like maybe ordering your product, or maybe like buying I don't know, maybe buying or maybe doing a contract with you for 1 year about your services or about your software or whatever you're offering. And this is your like final goal, of course. But there's also like, this is also special about B2B. This is not what you can just do with marketing. You need also the help of the sales department, but it goes basically hand in hand. You can do the pre-work with a good strategy, and sales can help to get the rest. Yeah, so this is a short example for lead nurturing. So as I said, it's not enough to just get like potential clients in your email list. It's also important that you like learn to know them, that you find out if they're like really interesting for your company and if they're like really interested in your company. So this is what you can do with, for example, newsletters and also content. So you send them newsletters with, for example, new white papers you wrote. Every time they open these newsletters, you can, for example, say, okay, they get 10 points in their lead scoring strategy. So you're adding more and more points to their profile. And then, you know, of course, then you can be sure, like, they are really interested in what I'm offering, because I went like more and more deep into my topics and what I can offer. And they also took part in my webinar, and they also gave me the contact information, like the phone number. And they also clicked the email with a special sales offer. So they probably might be really interested in what I can offer here. And yeah, then you have this is like a really easy way to show lead scoring, lead nurturing, but then you have a like marketing qualified lead, which goes to the sales department. So you can say, hey, here, they have 100 points. They're interested in everything I've sent them. Call him. Because I also
you basically use the content assets to kind of qualify further, not only just kind of throw them out somewhere, but also kind of put them all back together and then kind of use them as a pre-qualifier. Okay, yeah.
Exactly. And the more you know about the person or the lead, the better it is, because the more specified the content can be you are sending to this person.
Right.
And yeah, so this is like really a super easy example here how this can go. But yeah. Content distribution, I already like talked a little bit about this, because content distribution is the key point to the successful, let's say, content marketing campaign. And yeah, so as I said, in-house usage is for example, for clients as a giveaway on exhibitions to increase the branding and the trust and the expert position. This helps a lot. And also in-house, you can use it for trainings and existing customers. You can also use your social media channels, as I said, to increase maybe the downloads through social media. Maybe you have someone who's following you on social media and is not in your contact list yet, so you can not really do like a direct lead nurturing with them. But with the white paper, you manage to get this contact, and this new potential client ends in your email list, and you have you can continue with your direct lead nurturing. Also, you can send it through your internal newsletters. This can be part of a lead nurturing strategy, but also like just to give like some information to people that are like already your customers, because it's kind of a service aspect. Performance ad can help as well. Especially LinkedIn ads can help with these kind of things, because you can really find the right target group. You can say you can define who should like see your ad and who could be interested in your ad. This works as well for Facebook and Twitter, but Facebook is not the B2B. Yeah, it's not a B2B platform. So you will, you will have a lot of views, but you will not get a lot of clicks and downloads. So you should try out. It depends always on the topic. But it can be really tricky. So LinkedIn basically is the platform that is way more interesting for B2B content. Then there's also a part which is paid content distribution, which is like kind of, people would say it's performance ads, it's Google ads, but it's not that. It's what I talked about. It's like distribute your content in expert media. This can be through these ads in external newsletters to increase downloads, or you write expert articles and sponsored posts to strengthen your branding and your expertise through the content. And also sometimes with these sponsored posts, you're also managing to get, for example, downloads for white papers. And also you can use standalone newsletters to send out your content and to a new target group, to a new, like, what is the word for that? To a new email list with contacts.
I was gonna say, so that's them buying like an email list or like an email blast to a new email list, basically.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
And this what you can often do through expert media. So this because they have basically the right target group for you, and if you have a little of like media budget, you can use this to like.
So you're buying extended audiences, basically. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And of course, you have the organic outreach. What we also have, like in B2C marketing, you can use PR and outreach initiatives to bring your content to the media with press releases and stuff like that. Or, which is in B2B marketing also a super big part is partner shipping. So partner marketing also helps you a lot. There's also the possibility you can also do something together with a partner. Then you have a double reach. They reach your contacts, and you reach the contacts of your partner. So you have kind of a multiplier on that, and this is also a good strategy to bring content to your target group, whatever. Yes.
You also say that, like, I mean, you could also think that further, or maybe that's also what you had in mind. Like, would you also just recommend to people that they kind of consider like this joint content production? I mean, you could also like, let's say there's an agency and someone else involved, so you could like build a case, make a white paper. That's what you mean, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Something like this, or also like mostly you have a partner directory or like a list of partners you have, and you can just send the content to them. And sometimes they say, "Oh, it's super interesting." Basically, also for my clients, so I just forward your content and I forward your white paper, for example.
Right.
So it can be both, and also like the collaboration on creating a a content piece. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. So this is basically how the distribution can work. This is also another little overview on the differences, like where you can distribute your content. You should use your own media, your earned media, and your paid media. So owned media, of course, internal channels, as I said, your social media channels, website, newsletters, whatever you have, and also external channels. And this is what I said, like partners, for example, newspapers and media, and influencers. Depends in which industry you're working. You can also work with influencers, of course. And paid media, what I said, external channels where you have to pay for. Sponsored posts, editorials are like formats that help a lot. Content ads, for example, can help a lot. Standalone newsletters, everything I said already. Yeah, so this is the short overview on that, and that's like a really short presentation because I think it's really more easy to have an open discussion about that. Yeah, so
great.
Yeah, clap our hands for that. Well done.
Well done, Sarah. Great.
No, really cool. Appreciate the overview. Yeah, you're right. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can basically kind of talk about and discuss about, and I think we have some follow-up questions that that kind of tie in quite nicely. So the one thing that I'm kind of curious about, and I just start out and then maybe pass it over to Dominique. Like, I mean, you mentioned earlier that there's a huge variety of formats, and I guess that's probably true for both. Like in B2C as well as in B2B, and I think like as an agency we've been producing a quite significant amount of content assets in the last 5+ years. But like if we go back to B2B, what do you think? I mean, what's like from your experience? What are like the most commonly used formats, and why do you think that is? So is that really because I see a lot of like white papers being used, for example? And I think it goes back to what you were saying. You're like, it's probably an easy format to address like a solution to a problem in a way that kind of B2B audience understands it. But like maybe you have other thoughts, or like even maybe I'm wrong and there's other formats where you would say, well, this is probably even better in B2B.
I think in my opinion is as well the white paper, because I think it's different goals the companies address with it. So of course they want to like talk about one specific topic in a like really good way and not in a super long article. White papers give the possibility to show it like more graphical way, and to like there's like it's an easier way to put things together because it's more like a book and not like a super long article. But also I think a lot of B2B companies use white papers because they are really using them as a lead magnet. So they are really because if you try to have a look on where you can find white papers and what you have to do for that to get that, actually you always have to like type in your email address. It's really rare that you get them just like by click. And this is what they do, because I think the most important part about B2B marketing is after, like, as soon as you have the possibility to directly contact your audience and people, and to find out like about each person a lot of information, to address them more like specific and individually, the better it is. And this is what you can make, but basically by newsletters, and also like in the combination with all the content you're producing for your webpage, because it's unlikely that someone who has a problem, for example, and reading through the internet, I need to, I don't know, something you need to do for your work. I need to know how this formula in Excel works. You're writing an article about it, and then this person finds the solution, and it does not has to say that the person comes back to your webpage.
Yeah.
So you really try to get the contact to like continue talking,
the conversation,
conversation, communication. Yeah.
That's actually a funny point that you make, because I would have had like a follow-up question that kind of somewhat ties in quite nicely. And I think you're right. I guess you see a lot of. I'm curious on your thoughts on that. So like you see a huge variety of different types of like PDFs out there, and for some it's like free, you can just get them. For some it's more like you have at least to provide an email address, sometimes even a bit more. I don't know. I think company and like first name, last name, and that's pretty much what you get. Sometimes a phone number, depends on, I guess, if it's like really enterprisey or not, but I guess kind of that in that environment. But would you say that like not doing this is and plus probably transforming that into the contact into a newsletter database is like a huge missed opportunity? Or would you say, well, look, it just really depends on what you want to achieve, so maybe it's not necessarily need to be a newsletter? So what's your take on that?
It depends what you're focusing on. So if you, for example, have a lot of other strategies, as for example, like a super good working partner marketing management, and like a lot of people that directly like do kind of a partnershiping with other companies that have the same target group as you, I think it's fine if you don't focus on that. If you're like someone who's like present on every exhibition that is existing in your field, and you're like talking to a lot of people and acquiring new leads, new contacts through this, I think it's fine as well. But I think the mix is the best. So, and I think it is for everyone a missed opportunity if you have the chance to do that in your team. If you have a marketing team that has at least like 1 to 2 or 3 content marketers, and maybe someone that does email marketing and knows a lot about it, then you really should do that. If you don't have the capacity, if you don't have the resources to do that, it's really hard to like really start from scratch. So you can start, for example, with just offering a white paper for free to like show your expertise, and to like maybe get people on your site, because you of course can also like optimize the article that is surrounding your PDF that people can download. So you're maybe ranking in Google. But yeah, as soon as you want to grow, I think it's a must do, to be honest.
Okay, got it. So would you then also like say, look, I mean, you just mentioned that briefly, because that's also the other challenge that I see often, is that when you have like the lead gen sign up situation, and you kind of want to kind of download the white paper, I guess the downside of that is if you don't kind of make it available to Google and at all, then it's also hard to rank. So would you advise to kind of just like, have some highlights out of the PDF transformed into like an article, or would you say, look, it doesn't matter, it's just something shorter, or the PDF is supposed to rank? So how would you approach that generally?
It depends. If it's a topic that really, really has ranking potential, because if like I would always decide depending on the search volume. So if it's for example a keyword that brings me like or that has a search volume of 20 a month, I would always go more for a white paper. If it's maybe 1,000, I would decide to like give the highlights of the white paper.
So like you pick a certain area. Okay,
exactly.
Understood. Yeah. Okay.
And then
makes sense.
Yeah. So this.
Got it.
Cool. I would maybe have a question which ties in pretty well into the last topic of search volume and optimization. So I'm wondering, so whenever we talk about like B2C content marketing, right, and working on content strategies and finding the right topics and formats, it's quite easy, I guess, to find the right topics based on search volume, because we have a lot of data. Of course, we can do research of our own website, of course, or from our client, and social research and everything around that. So we have so much data we can grab, and it's already out there. I'm wondering, how would you approach that in the field of B2B? So in to understand your target audience better, and also to decide which kind of topic is really relevant here, because you cannot rely or never can rely on like search volume, right?
Yeah, or it doesn't even exist, right?
Or it doesn't
exactly. Right? So it's like a completely different approach, right?
Yeah, I think so as well. I think the difference between B2C and B2B companies is also that B2B companies are more often like really on exhibitions and expert media. So you're reading a lot, I think. You know your expert media, you know what the trends are, and you're like really taking a look on your competitors. So what are they writing about? How do they write? What's their news topic? Can I take this topic? Can I widen it up? Can I like dig more into detail as they are doing? Is there something maybe they are missing? Or what is also like a good part is like really ask your clients. So you can, for example, what is a good strategy is always asking after white paper download. It's for future customers as well. After, let's say we have a white paper download and you just send a survey afterwards asking, how did you like our white paper? What did you miss? Was it too long? Was it short? Which topics were would be more interesting? And what would you be happy about the next time in a white paper? What's your main question, for example? And this helps a lot to find out what people are really interested in. And then you can like evaluate just like what they are thinking and what they give you on information. And then of course as well, while reading the trends, reading the news in your industry. And also answer the public sometimes is a thing, but it's the same with the search volume. It's not always always the best. And what also helps a lot, because in B2B you mostly have customer success people and people in support. Ask them, what is the main question of the customer? What's the main problem? What's the main issue? And take all this information and bring it to cool new content piece, because mostly
it's more like a topical driven approach rather than like I would say keyword. I mean, keyword is maybe the wrong word, but like keyword driven approach, right? So it's more like the higher level of mapping it out and then drilling it down.
Exactly, because mostly everything with the keywords you have done already, because there's not that many.
There's not many. Yeah. Very true. Yeah. And then probably also, I think, at least from my experience, when I've seen that, is like that oftentimes it's also like the ultra generics that they are all fighting for, right? So it's like, I don't know, video conferencing software, which is like probably it doesn't get as unspecific and as broad, right? But like this is where the volume is. However, this is probably not what you would want to target. You would rather go into like a very, very deep segmentation where again, then there's no volume. So it's like, it's a bit of this hen egg problem, really. You have a huge topic, but then the huge topic is there and it might describe it, but it might not, because, well, you're looking for a certain solution within that industry, but like not necessarily a new video conferencing system, right? Yeah. Got it. So like another thing I was wondering, because I think you made the point, and I would agree, but I'm curious what else you have on that. It's like I think a lot of like solving problems / being the best solution, I think, is an approach that a lot of companies actually take. Well, I mean, but then you could also argue, and I'm just curious what your take is, like everyone does that. How is that a differentiator, right? I mean, we can all claim to be, I don't know, the ultimate solution to that specific problem that you have. I don't know, like you don't rank, so like let me do your SEO audit, right? But like, is there different approaches to that? So what would you think you could also do? I mean, beyond just solving problems that maybe not are there straight away. So maybe I have that problem later down my kind of career, and then I might recall it, but like there might also be other ways to do that.
Sure. So you can, if you're not wanting to solve directly problems.
maybe I want to, but maybe I feel like I should also not only try to solve the same problems as all of my 10 competitors, which I certainly have to solve the problem. That's true. But like we're kind of all fishing in the same pot, if that makes sense.
Exactly. So this is, I think, what goes hand in hand more with assuring expertise than just like claiming your company and your services being the best services.
Right.
I think you have to like really convince with like showing that you have the services. For example, sometimes other companies that are your potential clients don't have any problems. So you have to feed them with other content they are interested in. What are they, for example, interested in? Let's say they want to know how, if you have the data, they want to know how their competitors, for example, perform.
Right. Yeah.
So
benchmark data.
I think benchmark data is really it's really interesting. Also, data. If you have the possibility to get the data, also data for like improving processes and strategies they are already doing. So that you tell them, for example, when is the best time to call your clients, or what do you have to do for Christmas? What is like perfect campaigns for whatever. It depends on your industry, but this is how you can support your clients with their strategy and give them new innovative input.
Got it. That makes sense. Yeah. And would you say for that it's still the same formats? Is it still like I go the white paper route, or is it more like maybe in this case, I don't know, like kind of the content hub approach, building out some kind of a library that where you have like this lead piece of content around a certain situation, I don't know, like processes in whatever industry you are in, and then kind of break it down and you would kind of describe it out. Is that, or what would you think is probably the best way to make it consumable?
It depends how long the topic is, to be honest. If it's like a lot of data you have to observe and to present, I think it's the best way to just use always short different things to publish it, so that it's not like for everyone the same, that you target different audiences in different ways. For example, let's say the tourism industry is more about they are more interested in educational videos, for example, then you take the content to your educational video. Someone who's working a lot with data and analysis and all the stuff, I think this person would appreciate a white paper more, with showing the data in a graphical way. So I think this is how you should decide which content format you're using, because it's always important who's listening to you and how much time do they have, and what is their normal content format they are used to, and they can get the easiest information out. Yeah.
So let's say I'm launching this new service that I mean doesn't even exist yet, but how would I find out how my audience actually ticks? What's kind of the best way to approach that? If I mean you're right, a lot of the established companies sit on a variety and a huge pot of different types of data, and potentially they have kind of mined that for establishing. And you mentioned personas earlier on, that even though theirs might be slightly different, but how would you start out? I mean, if you have a new product, I mean, of course you kind of do some acceptance testing at some point in the field, but is there any other tools or approaches that you kind of have seen in the past that work well to just understand a bit more about audience in general and how kind of to build this out? Because I know that you guys do a lot of persona building, mainly for B2C, obviously, but I mean this is also a thing in B2B. Any smart thoughts on that?
I mean, you can always use Google Analytics or SEMrush Market Audience Analysis for this to get a glimpse of what your audience could be and is interested in.
Right.
SEMrush, for example, I think it was SEMrush. Yeah, SEMrush gives you based on your market competitors, industry competitors or organic competitors, a lot of information who could be the typical target audience for your company. I think this is how you could start with your new service, checking the competitors and using the tools you have.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, whenever you already have the data, so I think it's always crucial to merge them together, right? So working with search data, but also connect with your sales team and collecting all the data you already have also inside the company, right, about your potential clients and target audience. And then I think it's important to work with it. So to take all of that together and try to build something or to show something like customer journeys based on the specific kind of products you have. Of course, I mean it's not the same for each product you already have or you have. Sarah and me, we were talking about that kind of topic during the last 2 weeks, many times. So I think it's there are different approaches. So taking a deeper look on which kind of or how the involvement of your product is. So is it super expensive or is it something like a chewing gum, right? So the pricier your product is, I think, the longer, of course, the period of taking a decision to buy it is. So of course you need to nurture them a bit longer. You have to
a bit longer, a bit more,
Exactly. So to work with different kind of content formats than with just having one kind of I don't know, infographic or downloadable content piece. So I think it really depends on that, of course. So how high the involvement is for that kind of product you were trying to sell, but also which kind of target audience you have and which kind of niche you try to serve, right? And then building something like customer journeys for each kind of product you try to sell.
I think that's a very important point that you made there, right? It's not only this one journey, and it's also not necessarily only this one kind of way that you want to nurture them. Yeah,
exactly. I think it pretty much differs for each kind of product, definitely, and to which kind of micro moments you see, right? So which kind of problems do we need to solve? So how should we target them again and again and again? And also there a deeper understanding about target audience to see not only the problem we want to solve for our persona here, but also which kind of problems he maybe or fields of interest he also have in his mind around that kind of specific product or issue. Yeah. So I think it's like a continuous way of working together with your target audiences or along your target audiences. Yeah.
Nice. Like we are already almost 50 minutes again, but there's one final question I saw that just came in. Like, so the question is around like, because trust was mentioned earlier as well, and you said that, I mean, and I think I agree, it's kind of in a certain way you need to establish trust, obviously, especially in kind of the context of B2B. And Sarah, you already mentioned that, like, well, it's if you establish yourself as an expert at some point, that's also gonna, however you back it up, it's gonna suggest that you are this kind of trusted authority kind of for this specific thing. So any tips on like building out trust, showing trust that you can think of where you would say that's something that people can have a look at?
Yeah, I think building trust, the best way is, of course, as I said, data, always data. But there's one other thing that is like a really good trust builder. It's case studies. Work together with your customers, write case studies, show how they experienced your service, your product. Talk to them, let them quote, let them give quotes, let them show how they increased their sales or whatever their goal was. I think this is like for building trust. This is one of the keys, basically.
Right. So prove your service and service capabilities, basically. Understood. Very nice. Cool. Sounds good. Well, I guess we need to call it a day because we're already at 5 o'clock as per usual. So lots of content, even though we're not, as you were saying in the beginning, but I felt you put a lot on the slides. So I think it was a lot of content there. So fair enough. Thank you very much, Sarah, for taking the time to join us. I think that was a really exciting topic. We're going to put it, as I said, on the website. So it's going to be there sometime during this week. We're going to follow up on a couple of things. If you have any questions, also when you're watching this video on whatever, YouTube or someplace else afterwards, and we haven't addressed that, feel free to reach out either in the next show. So we're going to be back next week at 4-ish German time. So either we can answer then, or again, just feel free to email us, message us on the kind of known channels, and we either pass along to Sarah, or one of the team is gonna definitely get back to you. With that said, have a fantastic rest of the week. We are switching off, and see you all next week.
Yeah. Thanks for dialing in. See you next week. Bye bye.